Uh, One of the first things I want to do is just reintroduce myself for everyone who's watching and listening. My name is Kat Bujard, and I am a graduate assistant working with Beyond Academics this summer. And if we want to just go around the circle and maybe just if everyone wants to introduce themselves and maybe how you are involved with RHA, and then we'll get started with the questions. So who would like to go first?
I'll go first. Hey, I'm Jasmine Robinson, and I will be serving as the RHA president for this upcoming academic school year.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, my name is Kaylee Del Greco. I'll be serving as the National Communications Coordinator for RHA this upcoming academic year.
And then, hello, my name is Crystal Thibodeau. I work in housing and residence life as a coordinator for residence life, but I also get the lovely opportunity to serve as the advisor for RHA for the upcoming school year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with me today. Maybe the first thing I should ask before I even get to my questions is what does RHA stand for? What does the Residence Hall Association mean? And what kind of, like in your own words, maybe, could you tell me, like, what does this club do? Why be a part of RHA?
Well, RHA stands for the Residence Hall Association, and really to me, I see RHA more as a family. We really focus on advocating for the on-campus residents at UNCG. We also get the opportunity to host different events and community service activities for the students on campus. And if anybody else wants to kind of piggyback off of that.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of you. My position's a unique one because I get to travel to a bunch of conferences and represent UNCG's RHA. So, and a bunch of exec board members get to come to at one of our leadership retreats. The end of the year conference is the one they normally go to. But that's one of the unique positions that I get to do because I get to parade around wherever we go if we travel and vote on legislation and make decisions to hopefully better our community.
Very cool.
I'll also add in that, so the Residence Hall Association is kind of like the umbrella and hall councils fall underneath the Residence Hall Association as well. So every community on campus, every residence hall on campus has a hall council within their buildings. And so for students who reside in their assigned residence hall, they have the opportunity to join the hall council. And so RHA, we train hall council members. We hold General Assembly, which is for all residential students. However, most of our members consist of hall council members. And so they attend General Assembly meetings. And as Jasmine and Kaylee mentioned, having the opportunity to participate in our on-campus programming as well as conferences and things of that nature too.
Okay, so, and this kind of gets into my first question. So if you want to get involved in RHA, you should join your hall council. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, you would basically join, you would run for a hall council position, but also just like other ways you can engage. Like if you don't want to join a hall council, you can simply come to our events and, like Crystal said, you can come to our General Assembly meetings. We meet every Monday at 7:00 p.m. This year, our General Assembly is going to be virtual. So that's just a change, for anybody that's watching. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. So of course, my first question is, who is RHA for? And you kind of shared that, right? Like everybody, even if you're not in the hall council, you can go to events and do things. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I would say everybody, but we target it towards residential students. So if you're living on campus.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, it's important to be really clear. I tend to like to ask if you notice if there's like certain majors or certain types of people that like to be involved with RHA. There may not be any kind of type of person, but just if there's anybody that you feel like, oh yeah, these types of people really like to be a part of RHA.
Oh, you can go ahead, Kaylee.
Oh, no, I hit my knee, sorry. But I was gonna say, like, I think we have a very diverse group of people in our RHA, so I haven't really specifically seen like certain groups of people, but I've been really happy to have as much diversity as we have had.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So you already said this, I think, already, but let's just make sure that we're clear. So RHA meets 7 p.m. on Mondays. Tell me again. Let me make sure that I'm clear.
So the General Assembly meetings, which is open for everyone, those are held Mondays at 7:00 p.m. But this year they're going to be virtual.
Okay.
But let's say somebody were to join a hall council. Hall councils have, different meetings depending on, what residence hall they're in, and that's just something they decide on once, they get started in their hall council.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was going to ask if students need any transportation, but it sounds like virtual, even if students are going to be there in the residence halls. Is that right? Okay, cool. Cool. So maybe in the General Assembly or maybe in the Hall Council, maybe you could talk maybe a little bit about both. Like what kind of environment can students expect? Like what can they expect when they come to one of these meetings?
I guess I'll say for hall councils, I guess it's more laid back. It's nothing, you have to go dressed up to or anything like that. I don't really know specifics what you're asking for.
Well, I even put things as basic as like noise level, like music, is it bright, the size of the space. I guess if it's virtual, it's probably going to be like kind of like this where we all have little screens, right? um you know yeah, I guess when it's virtual, um it kind of the environment is kind of the environment that you're sitting in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I will say for hall councils though, it's a smaller environment just because you're meeting with your hall council, and I don't know the exact number. Is it like 7 or around 7
Yeah.
positions, something like that? That's about the amount of people that you'll be with. So it's very like a close knit environment. So you won't have to expect, those meetings to be super huge for hall council.
I
okay.
would say the max number is probably 13 members in a hall council, 13 to 14 members. That's for like if they join the executive board of hall council. But if students don't want to join hall council, they can just attend the meetings. I mean, totally up to them. If they just want to sit in and listen, give feedback to the hall council, because the executive boards are usually in charge of coming up with the programming for the halls and things like that. So I would say it's usually no more than about 13, 14 people.
Okay, very cool. So kind of close-knit group of people who are really invested in their hall because they live there, right?
Mhm.
Yep. And so they care about like the things that are going on. So very cool. Nice. Um, are there like any kind of social norms for the meetings? So like, for example, like when we start, is it just kind of like hanging out time until things really get started? Should I expect like a presentation, or is it just people sort of talking like round robin style? What should I like socially expect in the meetings?
I feel like it's all
Where,
of those. I feel like it is. We'd always do like a presentation with updates on anything that we have as an exec board, and the president would present those. which would be Jasmine. And then if they have any questions, they would raise like their placard with their hall on it, and we'd call on them and they would talk to us. And then it's like a round robin style if we have any updates at the end with CRLs and advisors and us as an exec board to give any updates that we feel like we need to present.
Okay, cool. So you guys actually have like little signs that's like,
and they say like our positions too. If we have a question, we can raise ours too.
And that's like specifically for General Assembly. Hall councils kind of vary depending on how, y'all make, the Hall council makes that environment. So, they could have a presentation or, they couldn't. It can be more, laid back and, less formal, I guess I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I could see it being maybe a little less formal since it's the people that you see kind of on a daily basis, and maybe like everybody sort of knows like, oh, like they live on this floor, and or kind of maybe familiar faces at least. Yeah. Okay, cool. Are there any kind of like expected interactions? Like if I, like you said, there's kind of like the little signs at the General Assembly meetings. Is there like, I don't know, anything that's expected of members to do or to say, or maybe to not say, depending on the number of people that's maybe at a General Assembly meeting, or I don't know, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I don't think there's any expectation for anyone to speak. That's kind of why we had the system in place. Is if they wish to speak or they wish to provide an update for their specific hall or their position, that's why we have like the placards in place, just so it's not so chaotic and everybody's speaking at one time and talking over one another. So there's no expectation for anyone to speak though. It's kind of like a voluntary basis. Like if you have an update, you can raise your placard and we'll call on you. But yeah, there's no really like hard expectation for anyone to speak up.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So the individual hall councils, they're going to be talking about issues specifically or programming maybe specifically for their building, but then the General Assembly is going to be everybody talking about updates across different buildings. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. So tell me, maybe could you help me understand, like, if I'm a resident of one hall, and like, why would I maybe want to come to the General Assembly meeting? Like, what maybe should I come for to want to find out, or that kind of thing?
I guess I would say if you're a resident at one hall and you're at General Assembly, one, you can kind of learn about what other residence halls are doing that is getting their residents engaged. So different programs and things like that, or different initiatives they're trying to do in their residence hall. And if you're not in the hall council, to tell your hall council about it, or if you are in hall council, to maybe do the same thing in your residence hall.
Okay, very cool.
I'll piggyback off of that. I think a lot of students that come that like live on campus, they get to hear about all the cool events that they might not pay attention to in their residence halls, and more so others too, because the whole point is collaboration. So everyone can go to any event that they would like to in the residence halls. And I think that's one of the neat parts about like General Assembly is how open we are to hearing like, hey, what do you guys have going on? Like, what are your plans? Like, take a step back from ours. We want to hear from you.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I like that idea about kind of like hearing about stuff you may have missed. Because I totally am guilty of that, where I'll see a flyer on campus and I'll think, man, I want to go. And then I'll go on to class and or I'll forget it or whatever. So yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, cool. Does it cost anything to be a member of RHA or a hall council? Nope.
No.
Cool. How welcoming would you say your organization is to new people or beginners?
I would say very welcoming. Um, we encourage students to join. I know at the very beginning of each academic year, we are pushing hard for students to get involved. CRLs in each building are advertising, RAs are advertising, RHA is advertising, you know, hey, join a hall council or come to some of our on-campus events. We encourage it. We want as many people to come as possible.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So if someone was interested in getting involved, like who would be their first point of contact maybe? Like if I was just a resident and I saw this video and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go, who do I talk to?
Yeah, I would. So if it's pertaining to hall council, I would definitely first point of contact would probably be the CRL of their assigned building. So
Okay.
traditionally and most likely, CRLs are going to be sending out emails about hall council, having their RAs talk about it. And so they can either go to the CRL or their assigned RA. In terms of RHA, you can reach out to Jasmine, our president, or we do have an email account, rha@uncg.edu.
Awesome.
So if you want to come and attend a General Assembly meeting, more than welcome to. If you want information about an event, we're more than happy to help you out.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Throwing out those email addresses, all that good stuff. I see Jasmine's face right here. So I know that I know who she is. I know what she looks like. Awesome. What would you say to a student who maybe feels intimidated by or maybe uneasy with getting involved? Like maybe they see this video, they see Jasmine's face and they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to, but I'm nervous about it. What would you say to them?
Me personally, that's something I can understand. It can be very nerve-wracking, especially if it's like your first year joining any organization. All I would say is don't put that pressure on yourself, really, just because, you know, joining a hall council or getting involved in RHA, there's no pressure on it. It's really more of a family environment, and it's fun. It's really fun. And so I would just say, you know, take that leap. You know, if you don't enjoy it, you can always just you can always just leave. But I would just definitely say, you know, trust your gut and take that leap, you know, and we'll definitely, you know, be a helping hand in that and, you know, try to make you feel as, you know, welcome as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I hope that they hear your message. And I think that's especially important coming from the president. Like, take that leap, do it. Let's see. Sorry, I got lost in my questions. Um, so you've already kind of said this, but again, how does your organization market or advertise to students? So where should they be looking? I heard you say emails. Definitely check your email, but is there anywhere else?
So we do have an Instagram page. So if you know, we do post a lot of updates on there. It's at UNCG RHA. And so we do post a lot of, you know, marketing materials on there. You should see, you know, different flyers and posters around campus for events or also hall council interest meetings. Because one of the first things we do whenever we come back to campus in the fall is we host hall council interest meetings for all the residence halls. And so you'll see flyers and you'll receive emails and things like that, letting you know when your specific hall council interest meeting will be taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we table. So we have specific members throughout like campus. We set up times and we sit down together and like pass out things like swag and information about our organization so students understand more of what we do.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully, we can definitely hope that we can all be on campus and see you there at those tables. I would love to see that. Let's see. So you've already kind of said this, and unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, these questions are going to have you maybe repeat yourself some. But what I find is that when people repeat themselves, sometimes they really get to the heart of what they want people to know. So my question is, how do you expect students to get involved with and engage in your organization? So how do you really want, like, if you had some amazing stellar students that were like, I really want to get involved and I really want to get engaged, what does that look like with RHA?
I think it looks like attending a conference with me. Um, I choose up to 6 delegates throughout hall councils that sign up for each conference, because there's 2 that they would attend, but there's technically like 4 total that I would go to. And they sign up, I interview them. It's a very extensive process. And they have the opportunity to broaden their aspects and even present their own programs at conferences that are state and nationwide.
Oh, wow. Okay. So these things potentially might be kind of like somewhere that you might drive to or have to get some transportation to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Definitely. I would say that. And also conferences are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, especially, with you being in a hall council. I would say we would love for you to get involved in our hall councils. So if you already know where you're staying, just look out for, the emails about the hall council interest meetings, because that's a really, good way to get involved on campus, and specifically your residence hall. And then also come to our events. I know things are going to be looking a little bit different, this fall, but whether they're virtual or, actually in person, definitely come to our events. That's one of the biggest ways, you can get, you can be engaged in, what RHA is doing.
Plus, most of the time we have free food.
Awesome. I'm there. Nice. So, okay. So I heard maybe go to some conferences, be a part of your own hall council, go to events and programming, maybe even like run for a spot in your hall council. So what are some of the positions available to students in a hall council?
So we have, Jasmine, you go ahead.
It's okay. I probably was going to miss one anyway.
Okay. We have president, vice president, chair of marketing, chair of administration, chair of service and recognition, I think. I'm missing one. Floor representative.
Chair of programming.
Chair of programming. There we go. That's an important one. And then floor representative. So just depending on how many floors are in the building, you can be a representative for your assigned floor that you're on.
Nice, nice. Cool. How much time would you say does it take for someone to be like really committed to that? And what does like involvement and engagement with a particular office in hall council look like?
Yeah, I would say, so hall councils, they typically meet for about an hour. In some hall councils, it varies. So typically they kind of decide whether they want to meet weekly, every week, or bi-weekly. I know my hall council last academic year, they wanted to meet weekly just because they had a lot of ideas and they wanted to plan out like some programs. So we met for about an hour every week, and outside of the meetings, attending their actual programs, the programs that they put on for their community. So maybe an hour, 2 hours of maybe programming once a month or whatever that looks like for the hall council. RHA, like, and time commitments with RHA, just like Jasmine said, that meetings every Monday at 7, from 7 to 8. And then just out on campus programming that we do that they may want to get involved with.
Yeah. And just to be clear for the folks that are listening, when you guys say programming, like what are some programs that are maybe really cool that stand out to you that you might want to just share a minute about?
Well, I'll speak on some of the programs that we did last year. Last year, I was able to serve as VP of Programming for the RHA Exec Board. And I think one of the cool programs that we had was we actually took a trip to the state fair. And so we had a group of like 50 students. We got a charter bus and we, drove to the state fair. And that was a really cool, trip that we got to take. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do the same thing, but we did have a lot of other types of programs. We had backyard barbecue, which was kind of a welcome back program. There was a lot of food, music. It was a DJ. We had a lot of, lawn games, giant Jenga, things like that. Very just engaging, fun. And then we also have informational programs. So we have our social programs, and then we'll have educational programs. So for Spartan Love Week, that was one of our big programs that we had. It was a week for Valentine's Day where we just had a week full of programs. So we had information on, safe sex and things like that. That was an example of an educational program. Then we had like a game night where you could win prizes and, things like that. So that's just a couple of examples.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Any others that you wanted to share, Kaylee, or anybody?
You got Spartan Love Week. I was going to talk about Spartan Love Week because she worked really, really hard to plan that entire week out. Like we did so much, and I was so proud of her by the end of that week because it was amazing. She pulled that off. So
with everyone else's help too.
Yeah, we all pitched in, but I loved her idea was amazing.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that when we said programs, we helped students understand, like, okay, what is a program? Well, program is a lot of fun, it sounds like.
It's like an event. It's like an event basically.
Yeah. Let's see. Does RHA socialize outside of regular meetings? Like, are they friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say that we're friends, especially with the exec board. I know that we all, develop friendships with each other. But with joining a hall council, you get really close with, the specific people on your hall council. And, the fact that y'all do live all in the same residence hall, you are gaining those friendships and things like that. So, therefore, it's fun to, hang out with those people outside of, the hall council meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. So when you say that hall council or even RHA folks socialize outside of regular meetings, like what does that look like? What might you guys do?
Well, for hall council members specifically, I know that, if RHA specifically is, hosting an event, the whole hall council will go to, that event. Like I said, it's, we have social events and different things like that. So that's the time, they can set out to actually, hang out with each other. But yeah, that's just one of the ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes the exec board will go get dinner together just because we're like, we're all on campus. Why not? You want to meet here? So. Yeah.
We also would take time, and, after our, executive board meetings, we will go to the library and do homework.
We did do that.
Things like that. We actually, during the summer last year, we got to go to the escape room. That's what it's called, like an escape room. And so that was a really fun, team bonding activity we did.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's see. And maybe they can, maybe they can't. I don't know. You tell me. How can students remain connected with RHA after graduation, or maybe even after, maybe they lived on campus for 2 or 3 years, but maybe their final year they wanted to live off campus? Can students remain connected with RHA and Hall Council, or is that kind of not a thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. So it's probably kind of hard to do that with Hall Council, stay connected with Hall Council, because it's usually for the residents of the hall. Mm-hmm. But if they wanted to stay connected with RHA, I don't see anything wrong with, showing support at the events, if they wanted to help out with the events, maybe if they had some ideas that, you know, they wanted to share that they wanted to see in terms of what they wanted RHA to put on there. We welcome feedback. We welcome ideas. And so I think that would be kind of a way to stay connected. If they're no longer living on campus or they after graduation.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. You may not know off the top of your head, and that's okay. I just ask, do you have a mission statement? If so, or if not, what are some of your other values and traditions?
Well, I will say we have like this little slogan that we really use, and it's making halls into homes. You know, just because that's like our main, you know, mission is to, you know, make all the students feel comfortable and, you know, make it feel like home, make it, you know, feel like an environment where they're comfortable and, you know, growing. And, you know, this summer you spend a lot of time at, you know, the school, you know, you're here for 4 years, you know, some people, you know, more. And so we like to just, you know, make it as comfortable as possible. So,
Yeah, I like that because it really is like it is your home for a whole year, you know, maybe more if you come back to that res hall. Um, but yeah, any let's see, you talked about it being a home, but any specific like values that RHA or Hall Council has?
I would say probably one of the biggest ones, something that we value is advocacy. Because I think RHA, our main kind of purpose is to advocate and serve the residential students. So, in same with Hall Council too. Like Hall Councils tend to advocate for the needs of the building, like student needs. And so if students have concerns or they want to advocate for something to kind of happen in the halls, RHA is kind of the people you need to speak to and speak with about what those needs and concerns are. So I think advocacy is probably a pretty big value of ours. I would probably also say service, because we do have a emphasis on just philanthropic type programs and service oriented programs as well. I would say probably those are kind of the biggest two, and leadership, obviously.
Yeah, so service not only to like the residents, the community that is in the hall, but maybe the bigger UNCG community and maybe even like Greensboro community. Yeah, that's awesome. I liked what you said too about like, you know, like advocating for the students' needs. Like if a student sees a problem or maybe sees a potential solution to something, because, you know, it's great to listen to the people that are living there and they spend all their time there. And so they probably have some creative solutions. So that's awesome.
and just for like an example of like, you know, how, you know, students can make that change in the residence halls.
Mm-hmm.
One year, a residence hall realized that a lot of their students there was a need for like having a printer in, you know, their residence hall. And so that's something that, you know, they were able to advocate for and get implemented. And so, you know, now, you know, majority of the residence halls have printers. And so like that's like just an example of like the type of changes you can actually make and, you know, people, you know, years after can benefit from.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because everyone's in their residence hall. They're trying to get their work done. They've got papers and stuff, and that makes so much sense. Wow, awesome. Come to think of it, I don't know if my residence hall had a printer in it. That would have been smart. Awesome. Um, in your experience, have you or how have you witnessed beyond academic students engaging in RHA in the past? If you're aware. If you're not aware, then that's okay.
I'll say me personally, through our events, I have seen a few members of Beyond Academics, you know, come and engage in our events, you know, and have fun and, you know, meet us and, you know, the different people that are there.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see. I think you've already said this some, so it might be a ditto kind of thing. But how important is diversity to RHA and Hall Council?
I think it's very important, especially when it comes to programming and service initiatives. We like to make, all of our events and things like that um, diverse, so that we're catering to, all different types of communities. And so I definitely think, RHA and all of the hall councils are very, very diverse, and that's really important to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we work towards that too with our community service projects and our community outreach chair, because it is like up to that chair specifically to choose organizations that they feel we would serve best and make them diverse and do multiple throughout the year, so that we kind of spread ourselves even throughout the community to make ourselves aware of everything that's happening.
Yeah, awesome. What accommodations does or could your organization provide for variously abled students across a range of ability?
Well, for all of our programs and events that we have, we do on all of our flyers, we have an email that people, if they have any disabilities or anything like that, they can reach out just in case we don't already have the accommodations that work for that individual. We'll make it, and we'll make sure they understand what accommodations we do have. So always reach out if you even have questions. If an event does have disability accommodations, always reach out, because if we don't, which most of the time we do, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. So something like, if someone's in a wheelchair, or if it's something even like, I heard you say like food. Maybe if someone even just has an allergy to something, kind of finding out like, okay, is there an alternative for me? Or, is there, a way to figure it out so that they can still be included and involved?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. So does your organization connect in any way to academic or career skills? And if so, how?
Um, I want to make sure nobody was trying to answer. So at our General Assembly meetings and also different events we may have, we do have certain meetings that we'll have professional development or leadership development. So whether that's like a resume workshop, we might incorporate that into a General Assembly one day. We might have guest speakers come in from different organizations, or career development, the Career Development Center, coming in to speak, and just to add value to the individuals that do come to General Assembly. And so those are just a couple ways that we do incorporate academics and leadership development into RHA.
Yeah.
I think we had a representative from the Academic Achievement Center come at one point too, to help any students, like if they needed tutoring, anything that would provide them with an on-campus experience to meet one-on-one with someone and come up with a plan if they were struggling. Because I know I went there and I was like, you guys should come talk. So it really helped the students when they opened up like what they could do to help themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah. I think, what I'm hearing you say too is just the leadership skills, as well as just learning how to uh, listen and be with a diverse group of people, right? And I think those are skills that everybody needs, no matter what profession they go into. Um, yeah. I also asked a little bit about the co-curricular transcript. I don't know if you guys know much about the co-curricular transcript, but if you do and you want to talk about how RHA might relate to the co-curricular transcript, I'm happy to make space for that. But if not, that's okay. Okay. Nope. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more about the co-curricular transcript, I'm happy to tell you about it, but we can save that for another time. Let's see. Are there any other questions about RHA or stuff folks should know so that that they can get excited about it? And anything I should have asked? Anything else I should have asked? No?
No, I guess I'll just go back over the ways they can get involved just in case it was confusing. So one, you can attend our general assembly meetings, which we meet every Monday at 7. This fall it will be virtual. Two, you can get involved in your hall council and your residence hall. We'll be having hall council interest meetings at the beginning of the fall semester. And that interest meeting will just give you more information about what hall council actually is, and what you will actually be doing and the different positions that we have available. And then 3, you can come to our events, RHA's events and programs, and also attend your hall council's events and programs.
And if you want, come to a conference.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you could give us some information about like where or what kind of experiences you've had about those conferences, so that they kind of know like, okay, what's a conference? Like, what are we going to do at a conference?
So basically, my experience is a little different because I vote on things for the hall councils, but for any delegate that would like to come, basically your day is full of like a bunch of fun activities that you get to do with other delegates. You get to go to programs that are hosted by other delegates, and you get to be super interactive throughout the day. You explore new university campuses depending on where we went. The last conference I took delegates to was actually at Appalachian State. It was NACAR, which stands we're not going to go into what that stands for because it just popped out of my head. But they get the chance to develop leadership skills and begin to bond closer with one another throughout the conference experience when I'm not there. So they don't have to feel nervous to be in front of me. They just get to have fun throughout the day. And we did an escape room actually there as like a whole like delegation, and that was fun because it was Willy Wonka themed. So it was really fun. So you get a chance to really like show your school spirit, chant, and then have a whole bunch of fun throughout the weekend.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, whenever you hear conference, kind of think of like a weekend full of RHAs from either the region or national, just across the region, or like across like the whole nation, just coming together for one weekend to share their programs that they came up with or that they're doing at their school, to share their different ideas and different initiatives they're doing at their school, and really just to come together and to take from each other, and to just try to contribute to other RHAs from different universities. My experience, I definitely had a lot of fun. It's a really fun weekend. You learn a lot. It's just a fun time. So
you make a lot of lifelong friendships, especially no matter where you are throughout the weekend. Like you make really great connections. So I would highly recommend it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I would love, it sounds like a great thing to get involved in. It sounds like building community, not only with the people that you go with, but then even like meeting new people across different universities and areas. And wow, that's awesome. Well, I do want to wrap it up and take the time to just thank you all so much for taking the time to be with me today. And I'm super excited for the fall, and I hope that everything, the transition during these kind of crazy times, goes well for both you guys as being a part of RHA and Hall Council, but also as students, for those of you that are students. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You.
You.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to stop recording.